Welcome to Shooting Gallery, coming to you this week from what has to be the ultimate inner sanctum in the world of shooting. This is Jeff Cooper's gun room, and I'm surrounded by the mementos of one of the most extraordinary lives of this or any century. Colonel Jeff Cooper is the stuff of legends, the creator of the modern technique of pistol craft, and the most important man in firearms since John Browning. And this is where he keeps his guns. And you know, even at 85 years old, this is also still the room where he likes to spend most of his time. At what point did you start Gunsite?
76. I easy to remember along with the Declaration.
When you first moved out here, you didn't even have electricity here, did you?
No, we made our own. We had a stack of batteries and a windmill to generate. Right. Yeah, we were pretty much out in the wilderness. And the roads, of course, were pretty bad. But it's a nice way to live. You're closer to nature and you have more fun with the world when you live beyond the road.
You were the first real shooting school in the country, weren't you?
Well, probably the original pioneer in practical shooting in terms of putting mindset into it was our Major Fairbairn of the British service in China. And he started using house clearing exercises, things like that, trying to relate them to the real life. And we took it from him. And we were probably the first people to make an issue of it. At least people who are, so we say, private citizens. Because a lot of people, even today, feel that only badge-wearing officers should know about this. And they've got a point there, but not a very good one.
At what point did you start saying, it's really important that we need to look at pistol craft and redefine what it is?
I'm not sure that I can pick out a moment where I decided one point. I was playing with pistol craft simply as an art in itself. Who is more skillful with his weapon? And the question then, of course, is, well, how do you mean skillful? What are you trying to do? And that's a difficult question to answer. If you are a good man with a pistol, what does that mean? Does that mean you're brilliantly fast, or that you can break balloons at 100 yards? It's a combination of things. And we set up various types of contests which rewarded a variety of different abilities.
Tell me a little bit about the El Presidente drill.
That's fun. El Presidente is a dexterity exercise which I dreamed up when I was teaching in Latin America. I had a job working for the President-to-be of Guatemala, Carlos Arana. And he gave me his bodyguard, 26 men, to watch his back. And interestingly enough, I found that those people were not very good. Right off the bat, I discovered there were two of them were out of the question. He had men who were willing to die for him, but didn't have to know the way to John. So we had a certain amount of trouble. I had to screen them out until I found that some of these people are respectable citizens. Those we can teach. And so in the course of that, I worked up several trial exercises to see how students were progressing, how they were getting to where they were, and whether they were good at it or not. This particular drill was devised to discover that. Now, the Presidente was not called that, though I was working for the Presidente at that time. It wasn't until I brought it back to the States, and then it wasn't called that here. In California, we set it up. I showed the people who were shooting in competition in California how the reel worked, and it turns out that the Australians decided that because I got this from working for the president, that they should call it the Presidente.
Now, of course, it was taught doing the shooting, so tell us a little bit about what an El Pres is.
Well, Michael, what an El Pres is, it's a target. They're down 10 yards away, and they're actually a yard apart is what they are. Their targets are roughly 18 by 20 in actual distance, and you are facing uprange, and you have to be able to turn and draw and engage each target with 2 rounds each, reload the gun, put 2 more rounds on each target, and that's what they consider an El Pres, something that Jeff Cooper actually invented many, many years ago, and it was a standard for actually your ability to where you were over the years. And you know, 20 years ago, if you could do it under 10 seconds, you were actually considered God.
It's not a test of life and should not be used that way. It is not a means of selling, teaching how a man can stay alive in a fight. It's a means of testing his generalized ability to use a pistol easily and well. And today, for example, if someone shows up and wants to go on a mission and would say, what do I have to do? I say, shoot me a Presidente. If he can shoot a Presidente in par, on time, with a score, he's ready to go.
This episode of Shooting Gallery has been brought to you by Crimson Trace Lasers, survival tool in a gunfight, or just pure bragging rights at the range. And by Para Ordnance. Para and the Power Extractor give you the winning edge.
The Bren 10. You know, there was a brief period of time in the mid-1980s where this was the most famous, the most sought after, the most desired gun in the United States. That's because this is the gun that Sonny Crockett used on the hit series Miami Vice. Now, Jeff Cooper designed this gun to incorporate the best features of a 1911 with the ergonomics of the CZ75 Czech 9mm. The thing is the company that made the gun never got them into production. Talk a little bit about the Bren 10 experiment.
Oh, that was an effort on my part to do something better. And the idea was not bad, but it was not a success for several reasons. I thought that we could get a weapon that would produce the same stopping power as the 1911 and do it easier and at better ranges. Well, I found out that we could make a more powerful weapon, but it was harder to use, and for some people it was very difficult. So we found that with the Bren 10, we came up with a gun which finally could do everything the .45 automatic would do at much greater range. The theoretical stopping power of the Bren 10 is the same at 50 yards that the 1911 has the muzzle. But where do you use it? You don't use pistols at 50 yards. You use pistols across the room. At that distance, you can't.
I'll say one thing for the Bren 10. With that 10mm ammunition, it barks. A lot of recoil here, but you can see that the gun's a comfortable gun to shoot. It's a shame it never really made it into production, never really had a chance. Colonel Cooper, let's talk a little bit about those first leather slaps.
It was a pretty good event. Shooting is not considered to be a spectator sport, but a duel like that is. It can get pretty exciting. People can place bets, and we had our contestants wearing numbers on their shirts and so on. But it was good fun.
When Jack Weaver first showed up at the leather slaps and started using 2 hands, that was really a very important moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a milestone. Jack showed up the first time shooting the way he always had, which was one-handed from belt level, and he did very well, but he didn't win. Jack, unlike the rest of us, studied it, and he discovered that people were moving pretty fast, but they were missing a lot. And this so-called fast draw contest depended upon hitting. It didn't matter how fast you were if you didn't hit. So Jack decided that he would slow down a little bit and hit the target And he came back the second year and wiped us out. And he kept on like that for many years. So I shifted to Jack's position and system, and I beat him. I think we have, thanks to people like Jack Weaver and John Plain and some others, we have discovered the easy way to be good. And that's the purpose. You can do it the hard way if you want. You can do it standing on your head with your eyes closed. But the way we taught was the easy way, the way that a man with ordinary skills can get there quicker.
Whoa, check this out. Jeff Cooper's original issue 1911 that he carried throughout World War II. When we come back, the whole story on this piece of history, including how it came to have Smith & Wesson revolver sights.
Reload!
You know, Colonel Cooper, there's an awful lot of guns down here, and I bet every one of them has a special story attached to it, doesn't it?
Pretty much.
Let's take a look at this guy. This is, let's see, the 1911 that saw you through World War II.
Oh, that's it. That's right. This was a presentation from school. It was donated to the graduating officer at Stanford, who had the highest grade point average, as well as shot expert with a pistol. So I won this and took it to war with me. I didn't shoot anybody with it, but I didn't have to.
And the pistol that you went to war with managed to hold up through all of World War II, correct?
True, but of course, I didn't shoot it very much. In my capacity as a junior officer of Marines, I didn't do a lot of firing. And so what I did was mainly instructing, and I didn't use it up a great deal. However, there are people who use it a lot, and even today, under very difficult conditions in Mesopotamia, the pistol is lasting very well under very harsh conditions.
It's ironic in a way that a lot of American forces overseas are asking if they can go back to the 1911 and away from the existing.
Or forward.
Forward to the 1911.
Yeah, well, it may wind up in 2011 with the right gun. But it's interesting to speculate that all the gadgets and art and trinkets and machines that we have devised in the 20th century, it's the only really successful, well, permanently successful engineering design of the century.
Were you initially shooting with a revolver, or were you shooting with your 1911?
I always shot with 1911. It just happens to be the best combination of serviceability and utility that we can find. It's a stroke of genius, of course, because it was designed by John Browning way back at the turn of the previous century, and it's still the best thing you can get. There are people who jump right in and say, well, we have improvements, we have changes, but they aren't serious.
Now this is a commander length version of a 1911 Colt. It's one of the very early lightweight models. It has an aluminum frame. And the only thing that really sets this particular 1911 apart is that engraving on the top of it. This is Jeff Cooper's personal lightweight commander. And it's pretty basic. The only thing that changes to it here, if you can see, is it's been fitted with a set of Ashley Express sights. Big white dot, just a V-shaped notch in the rear. So let's put some rounds through this. This gun has a pedigree. I know you did a lot of wildcatting experiment with cartridges in the 60s. Do you think that the .45 is still the ultimate expression of a handgun cartridge.
The 1911 cartridge, the 45 automatic Colt pistol cartridge, offers a really good combination of stopping power and ease of use. You can get more powerful weapons, but they're harder to use. And you can get weapons which are easier to use, but they don't hit hard. So you have a balance there that's very difficult to overcome.
Stay with us, because when we come back, it's everything you ever wanted to know about the practical, functional scout rifle from the man who invented it.
This episode of Shooting Gallery has been brought to you by Crimson Trace Lasers, survival tool in a gunfight, or just pure bragging rights at the range. And by Ruger, rugged, reliable Ruger firearms. And by Magnum Boots. You have the right to remain comfortable.
When Jeff Cooper first came up with the idea of a utility rifle, a short, light, do-everything rifle that he called a Scout, it wasn't exactly met with overwhelming enthusiasm. But like so many other of Colonel Cooper's ideas, time has proved him right. Now this is a Steyr Scout rifle built to Jeff Cooper's specifications. It's in .308, has a forward-mounted scope.
The intermediate scope position is a chance to use a telescope rifle much more quickly. You can pick it up with both eyes open, can enable you to shoot a snapshot in a split second. So the basic thing there is speed. The intermediate scope, properly mounted, is very much faster than a traditional scope, and it's no less accurate. Accuracy is very nice, but you can't hit anything you can't see. So if you can put your crosswire on a target, it doesn't matter whether it's 10 power or 6 power, you get the same result. In fact, we have on film a picture of one of our students in Africa engaging a bushbuck at a range of about 15 yards, which just turned up at his elbow. So we found that the efficiency of the Scout scope in the field was very, very high.
This rifle weighs very little, in the 6-pound range. General thinking was a few years back was that much heavier was much better. Short barrel? No, if a 16.5-inch barrel was good, a 32-inch barrel had to be twice as good. This rifle has disproved those myths, and it's proven itself in the hunting fields, it's proven itself in the military and with the police. It's another one of those ideas that's going to go on long after Jeff Cooper. If you were going to war, which rifle would you take?
The M1 Garand rifle, dubbed by General Patton as the greatest single fighting instrument ever devised, probably still is. It may be a little bit heavier than necessary, but let's get some strong soldiers.
This is an M1 Garand. Jeff Cooper says this is the finest fighting rifle ever made. Now this is what American guys carried in World War II. And as you can see, this is a big gun. Shot a 30-06 cartridge, 30-06 cartridge. It was powerful, it meant business. It's hard to imagine carrying this thing across Europe though, or through the Pacific Islands. But one thing to be said for it, when it hits something, it stays down.
I think there may have been a loss of interest in excellence as a principle. I don't know why that is, but I see that fewer and fewer people seem to be concerned with doing things well, with doing things correctly, doing things right. We can go into that at great length, but if you get to the notion that the important thing about any sort of commercial project is to sell, you've lost track of the notion of what that instrument was designed to do. And consequently, you even go to that Spanish sword I have up topside in my deck. That was designed to be a better piece of steel, not to sell. And as a result, you see, we find that to the extent that we lose track of the fact that we must do these things well to preserve our freedom, our liberty, well, to the extent that we learn that's what it's for, this technique can help us. And we'll only solve it. If we turn out to be nothing but a bunch of lemmings, we've lost already.
You know, the great reggae singer Bob Marley once said, "If you know your history, you know where you're coming from." The legacy of Jeff Cooper is more, a lot more, I think, than just how to shoot a pistol or a rifle better, or even salvaging John Browning's masterpiece, the 1911, from the scrap pile of history. I think when the final words are written, those words are going to be obligation, responsibility, duty, and honor. At a time when most of the country seemed to have lost its way, Jeff Cooper was there to shine a light, at least for some of us. So thank you, Colonel, and we'll see you next week on Shooting Gallery. How do you think the world has changed in the last 20 years?
It's spun. It's spun a lot of times.